You ask how I made this image. Well, it's sort of interesting. I saw a new piece of software online this morning and thought I'd like to give it a try, so I downloaded the free sample. It's a very intriguing piece of software. It's a freestanding piece of software, so you have to load your image into it and work on it and then move it back to Photoshop. I'll do a tutorial on it later on. I haven't figured out enough of it yet to try and show anybody else how to use it. But if you want to download it and try it, it's very interesting. So this is the image I selected. The first time I loaded it into the other software, I couldn't get it to work because I didn't have enough depth in the bottom of the image. So I went back in and expanded the canvas and then worked the process on it. When I loaded it back into Photoshop, this is the result that I got. I cropped the image down and used content-aware scaling and moved the bottom up. And this is what I ended up with. Now I expanded my canvas to the side here later on in the process, so it shows up now because I'm showing it to you after I completed it. But the decision to do that was to extend this piece of land out so it disappeared and went off, and to give me a little bit more space on this side of the image for a better compositional feel. Then I went in and used shadow highlight adjustment and opened up the image so I could get some more detail into these shadow areas. Then I ran it through impressions and made it look a little bit more painterly. The color was too bland, it didn't have enough interest to it, so then I went in and added a colored texture layer. The layer was much more detailed. You could see all the paint strokes and stuff like this, so I went in and then ran a Gaussian blur filter on it to tone it down. Then I wanted to add a little bit more tonality down here in the bottom, so I made another layer and just painted in some of the color I selected from the image to darken this corner. Then I made a black and white image of it using Silver FX. Then I took my bottom color image and put it on top and blended it using the color mode, which gave me the contrast that I wanted. Without this step, it was too flat. But once I did that, it picked up the contrast and picked up a lot more detail in these other areas, because when I made the black and white, I could control the tonality a lot more by picking up detail in these areas. And then when I added the color layer, it popped it up. And at this point I decided that I need to have more space on the side, so I added that in. Then I did a levels adjustment. It was a little too yellow and I wanted to add a little bit more texture, so I went in and added another texture layer, and that darkened the color down and gave me a little bit more interesting effect. Then did another brightness and contrast and used the masking layer to open up areas that I wanted to open up. Added a line to the outside and then added my signature. I hope you find this helpful.